Welcome to Tantrums and Tabletops. I'm Ben, and I think it's time we spoke about paint again. What paint? It's in this box, and we'll find out after this. So a while ago, I did a video where we looked at the Pro Acryl range from Monument Hobbies. You can find that video there, or there, somewhere. And I thought they were pretty awesome. So since that video came out, I've also invested in the Pro Acryl texture paints from Monument Hobbies. And in this video, we're going to see how they look. We're going to compare them to some of the other brands on the market. We'll try and follow some of the methodology from the Monument Hobbies website and make some bases. And most importantly of all, we'll see how these beautiful, beautiful paints taste.
Don't make me tap the sign.
Or maybe not. Okay, enough waffle. Let's get on the desk and see how they look. So within the set that I've got here, there are 8 paints in total. We have Snow, Red Earth, Golden Earth, Concrete, Extra Fine, Grey Earth Coarse, Grey Earth Fine, Brown Earth Coarse, and Brown Earth Fine. So these tubs are, if we take a look, they're 120ml pots. So for the price of these, I thought they would be a similar size to the Vallejo or AK Interactive texture pastes. But I guess it's not about the size, it's about what you can do with it. So let's open one of these up and see how they look. Again, we have this lovely protection cap thing. So it looks good and thick in there. Let's get an old brush. It comes out. And we'll do a proper comparison of these later. Dolloping that on there with an old brush. You can't really see too much, but it looks like brown mud. So I'm going to pop the tops off of all of these and then we'll get to some comparisons. So first we have the Pro Acryl 120ml pot. This is £13.25 or $13.25, which works out as 11 pence or 11 cents per milliliter. Next we have Thick Mud from Vallejo. It's a 200ml pot. It's £12.50 or $16.99, which is 6 pence or 8 cents per milliliter. Sterling Battlemire from Games Workshop. This is a 24ml pot, so that's £4.75 or $7.80, so that's 19 pence or 32 cents per milliliter. And finally, AK Interactive Snow Terrain. 250ml in the pot, that's £9.99 or $18.99. So first impression is, just like the paints we looked at in the other video, these are going to be pretty good. The pots are pretty sturdy, the paint inside them looks good, the difference between the fine and the coarse textures actually looks good. So what I'm going to do now is take some bases, we'll prime them, and then we'll slap down the 8 of these texture paints that I've got, and we'll also do some comparisons to the other brands and see how they hold up. So let's go. So we've used all 8 of our basing texture paints. We've used 2 from Games Workshop, we've used 1 from AK Interactive, and we've used 1 from Vallejo. So let's give these 24 hours to dry, come back and see how they look.
24 hours later.
So it's a new day. Everything's had 24 hours to try and dry out. Unfortunately, the environment wasn't the best overnight, so I've had to give everything a quick blast with Mr.Smiff's hairdryer as well. But with that said, everything is now dry, so let's take a look at how everything has come out. So we start off with the Pro Acryl Snow. It's quite thick. It doesn't look like fresh snowfall, but it's definitely good for building up that illusion of plenty of snow or a drift. Red Earth would be really good for a Martian or any sort of alien base, or for building up other textures. Golden Earth the same, it would be good for a beach or a desert themed base. Concrete, it went on really smooth, it's dried in quite an interesting way, there's a lot of patchiness. It looks like roads on the Isle of Wight. Brown Earth coarse, so you wouldn't use this to completely cover the base, but for building up the illusion of a battlefield, it's pretty spot on. The same as this fine. Use it sparingly, use it with some of the other ones, and you could build up some really interesting effects. The same for the grey earth coarse if you wanted to have a really ravaged urban scene. So this one or the fine would look really good for that. Dry brush it up, it would look spot on. For some comparisons, the Monument Hobbies, the Citadel colour and the Vallejo mud textures. Vallejo definitely looks like fresh, thick mud, where the other two are more sparse. And the same for the snow. Citadel colour wins this for me, it looks more like fresh snowfall. But the other two definitely have their uses. So, we've seen how the basing textures cover. Some are better than others. Maybe that's an application error on my behalf, I don't know. But let's try and follow some of the methodology from Monument Hobbies themselves and make a snowy, wintry base. So this is taken from monumenthobbies.com. It's a step-by-step on how we should create this winter base. We start off with the grey earth coarse. We'll take this old brush and we'll apply a liberal amount of this to the base. Not completely covering it, but building up texture in certain areas. Next we take the red earth, and according to the tutorial, we then cover the remainder of the base with this. This will act as a general texture across the rest of the base compared to that coarse earth. Next we give the base a complete coating with Monument Hobbies Paint 040 Black Brown. We follow that up with a dry brush of light umber, Monument Hobbies Paint 018. Then we give it another dry brush, this time with dark ivory, which is from the Ninjon Signature series. Just applying some tufts to give it a little bit more of a visual appeal. Then we use the snow texture paste. So according to the tutorial, once you've put this paint on the base, you then take a damp brush and smooth it down, as you can see here. So, as you can see, it's come out pretty well. I'm really pleased with how this looks actually. A lot of that initial texture is hidden, but when you look at the base close up, it really does pop. So looking at that, I think it's pretty clear to say that the basing textures are best used in combination instead of slapping one coat on a base and hoping for the best. I must admit, I think the Valhalla Blizzard from Games Workshop is probably the best of the snow textures. It just looks more like fresh snow to me, but that's not to say the other two that I tried were bad. As we saw on that finished base, the snow texture works really well on top of others just to create that finishing touch and give it a little Christmas, if you will. I think if I've seen any issues here, it's probably user error, because again, I think they're not designed to be just slapped on as one thick coat and hope for the best like you would with one of the Games Workshop crackle paints maybe. But using a bit of the mud effect here, a bit of that red earth effect maybe as a base to paint over and just build the texture, it does what it says on the tin. So other than the airbrush primers and the tools, I think we've looked at everything from Monument Hobbies at the moment. I would really love to try the hobby go bag, but having spent all my pennies on paint, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Monument Hobbies, if you're watching, feel free to hook a Z-list YouTuber up. I'd love to give it a go. But yeah, again, I hope you found the video useful. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. If you like what else you see on the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps us out. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.